Welcome. This is not advice. Still, I'm Roy Bahat. I'm here with Min Kim, who is my co-host, and together we are startup investors in the future.
And every day we're answering questions of yours about work. Today is day 111, and we're breaking down some questions around, I think this is one that comes up pretty frequently. And so, what do I do if my co-founder and I disagree on what our company vision should be?
What do I do? I mean, Min, I feel like this is one you've had to unpack many times. My starter on this is that you've heard that expression that like people break up a band over creative differences. And sometimes that's really what happens, is some disagreement over this thing. Usually it's actually about something else. It's almost always about something else. And the reason it's almost always about something else is that co-founder relationships are so multifaceted and complex. They're personal and intense. They are about money. They're about your work day. They're about your family life and how it integrates in your friend life and social life. They're about what the company's strategy should be. They're about ethics. They're about lots and lots of things. And some of those things are more comfortable to talk about than other things. And we tend to gravitate toward making arguments about the easiest thing to talk about. And so I guess my response is the first thing to do is figure out, what are you really having a difference over? Is it really over that? And just sort of like interview each other, the partnership charter in past episodes, but interviewing each other about the interview is maybe a strong word, about how are you thinking about this, that, the other thing. And then ultimately, if you discover that what you really have is a strong difference in, let's not use an abstract word like vision, let's just say in what the company should do in order to succeed, then you try to work out and see the best in each other. Ultimately, there can only be one set of actions that the company takes, maybe a portfolio of actions. And then sometimes it's like, okay, well, who has the power? Who thinks they're right and who has the power? And if you can't convince each other, then it gets settled by who has more equity, or you may need to push the other person out. Like, you then go through an escalating. This is another one of these cases where disagreement, you start with trying to resolve it, and then you quickly escalate through a series of actions that can culminate, if it's ultimately that important, in pushing the other person out.
Yeah, and I think like this question presupposes that there is like a vision, which I think there's a difference between like a mission and the thing that you and your co-founder care a lot about, and then vision is like a totally different thing, which is like in success, it could end up being a lot of different things. And so to your point around figuring out like what is it you're actually arguing about probably makes sense, because like vision, especially when you're early, is so amorphous and ambiguous.
Right. Like what you might be arguing about is, what commitment do we want to make to our investors?
Right.
That's the thing to argue about, because you might be morally obligated to that commitment. Anyway, so yes, I love that. Thank you, Min.
Of course. And so that was not advice given from Roy and me from Bloomberg Beta. If you have other questions you want us to answer, we'll be back tomorrow, and then we will be off Thursday and Friday for those of us in the US celebrating Thanksgiving. And
yeah, remember, the reason we're not giving you advice is we want you to live your life, not ours, and to be continued.
To be continued.